religion. So it seems that these women and girls have been coming from other countries. It's very different to suggest that it's happening here. And indeed, when I called up the Crown Prosecution Service on Friday to look into this, they said to me that I think, although they didn't get back to me by email, they said over the phone that there had been not a single successful prosecution of FGM in this country. Astonishing. Let's talk to Abbas quickly in Redbridge. Abbas, good morning.
Hi there. Just a few points, really. Sarah sounds like a lovely lady, and I'm sure she meant well. But do you see how the conversation from Sajid Javid, saying that we need to sort of define the ethnicity, to just talking about the face veil and the religion, and how somehow that was linked to perverts committing the most heinous, crimes that one could imagine on helpless, children. It just shows that the subconscious or unconsciously the link is being made, and the work that is being done by the far right and some of these groups to push this agenda clearly is working, because nice people like Sarah are linking a perverted act to the religion of Islam, when in fact Islam says even to be alone with another woman is actually prohibited. You shouldn't be just socializing alone with the opposite sex,
Abbas,
let alone raping children.
But Abbas, do you see what you're doing there? You are distancing yourself as a Muslim from these heinous acts by a rather extreme, in my view, interpretation of the Quran, saying that you shouldn't even be alone with another woman unless presumably they're your wife. Because just quickly on that, there are lots of Muslims in this country, I suspect the overwhelming majority of British Muslims, who are quite happy to be alone in a room with a woman who is not their wife.
That's not my point, Matt. My point actually to you is that even the most liberal Muslim interpretation does not allow you to have sexual relations with people outside marriage, let alone raping children.
Well, hang on, it's the way you made your point. But also, you'd also accept, Abbas, wouldn't you, that there are lots of Muslims in this country who are prepared to have sex out of wedlock?
Yeah, but they're not following the religion, and they're not interpreting the religion to make it acceptable to do so. That's my point.
They're not interpreting in the way that you do, Abbas. Let me ask you this on Sarah, because you look, I think you were very fair to Sarah, and I agree with you. I think she's a very nice woman. But is she not onto something? And let me try to explain why she could be onto something. And I don't, as I've said, I don't think we should ban the full face veil. But if you come from a micro community which is incredibly religious, if that's the right way of putting it, I would say rather extreme, and the women around you are wearing a full face veil when they're out on the streets, and you are brought up in a family and in a microculture that says this is the way that women should deport themselves out on the streets in public. Does it make it more likely? I'm not saying it's a logical link, but does it make it more likely that someone from that sort of background could stray into a view of white British British women, and maybe some British Muslim women who don't wear the full face veil, that they somehow think, well, these people are not doing what they should do, not doing what I've been brought up to think that is required of them, and therefore somehow they are fair game. I'm not saying that the majority of people do make that link at all, but does it help people along that way?
Not at all, because firstly, most women up north don't wear the face veil. Secondly, these guys were not practicing religious people. In fact, the mosque, I think, spoke out against the fact that they never even saw these people in the mosque. Thirdly, these guys were apparently spiking these girls with drinks and drugs and all sorts of other things, which is clearly un-Islamic in itself, as you're not supposed to have anything to do with alcohol. Even you're not permitted to transport it or sell it or anything else, let alone drink it and force feed, force children to have it and then rape them. So all those scenarios that you've come up with actually don't apply. And furthermore, the whole thing, and I spoke to Farage about this as well, which is that apparently these things would be going on for about 14 or 17 years, and the authorities weren't getting involved because they were suspicious that possibly they'd be sort of targeted as being racist or whatever. Now, what happens when you allow people with impunity to do these horrible things over such a long period of time, to clearly it's a cancer, and that cancer, unless you deal with it very, very quickly, it is going to spread and it's going to fester. But, another very important point, Matt, actually is that I read a statistic that said 100% of paedophile rings were white. Now, we never describe those 100% paedophile rings as white Christian, do we?
No.
Because obviously we realise that Christianity doesn't propagate the raping of children, just as Islam does not propagate the raping of children. So why do these links always get made when they just have a Muslim name? They might be drinkers, drug addicts, they might be all sorts of things.
It's a very fair point.
They're now ambassadors for Islam. It's ridiculous, quite frankly.
It's a very fair point, Abbas, and I thank you for it. Abbas in Redbridge, 0345 6060 973. Matt Stadden with you on Saturday and Sunday mornings from 1 on LBC. It's 12 minutes to 4.